Hello, welcome to another video on my channel, Heal Thy Feminine. My name is Angela, where I discuss the importance of healing our inner girl in order to embody healthy femininity and attract the love of our dreams. So today's topic, I'm going to talk about the important good D. So I was a little hesitant to talk about this topic just because I really wasn't sure which angle that I wanted to take. But I do feel like it's a very important topic to discuss because I'm seeing a lot that people are prescribing the fact that they can't let go of someone. As far as like, oh, I'm hung on the D, like, the sex is really good and things like that. And a lot of people are subscribing this to like soul ties and things like that. A lot of people are like, oh, I just want to let him go. I just want to let him go. He's so toxic. But the D is just so good. Like, how can I let someone go and they literally are blowing my back out every single time? So, one, I'm going to talk about a little about what that actually is. And then I'm going to talk about ways that you can let that person go. Okay. So that's part A, part B. So part A of this is what that actually means when you feel like I can't let someone go due to the great sex. One, it's not really this sex in and of itself. Now, I will say for women, for most women, especially women who are in their feminine, sex does bond you to a man, and the more sex you have with him, especially if it's emotional and things like that, the more you will bond with him and the more you will feel attached to him, and you'll feel love, feelings of love, and all those feelings, and you'll be your feelings and things like that. But not being able to let someone go and you prescribing it to them having good sex, good D as we want to say, is not I don't want to say it's abnormal, but it's definitely, there is something going on with your inner girl. Okay? Because whenever you feel like I can't let someone go, it's your inner girl who is attaching to them, who is trying to get her needs met and get validation from her. And really, your inner girl is trauma bonding with his inner boy. Right? Because you can't let him go, but he also can't let you go. And you guys may prescribe it to say, oh, she got some good, and he got some good. And that's very basic ego labels about the situation. But what it really is it's two people with inner wounded children within them who have latched on to each other in the soul level. And I'm not going to say this is soul tie because I don't particularly believe in those, nor do I prescribe to them. But I'm going to say that you guys, as inner girl, inner boy, have come together, and you are bonded with each other based on a shared trauma. Right? So a shared trauma could be that you guys both maybe had a similar upbringing in childhood. Maybe you both felt lonely in some aspect. Maybe you both grew up with like an absent father or something like that. Like there's this shared trauma that you have in childhood, and you may or may not know about this person's childhood, but your inner girl and his inner boy knows about each other's past, present, and future, right? So that's why that person is in your life, because you have some type of because you brought that person into your life based on your beliefs and things like that I've talked about throughout these videos and throughout my podcast. So when it comes to the fact where I hear a lot of women say like, oh, it's so good, I just can't let him go. What you're actually saying is that my wounded inner girl is really trying to get this man's validation. I'm trying to get this man's validation because some part of his rejection feels like home to me. And the best way that I feel this rejection is the false intimacy that we have during sex. Like that false intimacy feels so good that it feels like it's going to be the answer to the unworthiness that I feel. Now, this is different than just having amazing, emotionally connected sex with someone. But a lot of these situations where people are like, oh, his D is good. Oh, I can't let her go. She has a good, sex or whatever. It's not emotionally I'm in love, we're making love type of tantric sex that's happening here. It's more basic carnal mutual masturbation type sex where it's just like, oh, the actual act in and of itself is good, but when you're done, you're like, oh my God, he's so toxic. Oh my gosh, she's crazy. Why did I do this again? Right? Like you don't feel closer to that person. You probably feel disgusted with yourself. You probably feel like, oh, okay, he's still toxic. Oh, okay, this relationship still isn't going to work. Oh, okay, he's still not the right one for me. Right? So if you still feel those things, then that is a sign that there's a trauma bonding of your inner girl and your inner boy. It's not about the amazing sex, because if the sex is amazing, you would feel closer to that person at the end of it. You would feel freer, you would feel happier with that person. And if you don't feel those things and you feel like, like you guys are further apart or it was just sex, like if you have a feeling of someone and it's just sex afterwards, and either they or you are like, okay, you gotta go or I gotta go, or there's no real feelings, emotional heart space, like your heart area chakra. For those who know what I'm talking about, your heart chakra doesn't feel open. You don't feel more loving from that person. But not only do you feel more loving towards that person, but you also feel like they feel more loving towards you. So there's this mutual heart exchange going on. If you don't feel that, after an encounter with someone, then that means that this was just a basic carnal experience of mutual masturbation. So, and in those cases where you're like, oh my gosh, the sex was just so great, we have just this sexual thing, but you literally have nothing else, and you're like, okay, this person is very toxic for me, I should not be dealing with this person, etc., etc. It's the inner girl, the inner boy trauma building, right? So that's really what you're saying when you say, oh, this person has good D and I can't let him go. What you're saying is that my inner girl is bonded to his inner boy because we have this shared wounding. We have this shared wound. We have this very shared wound and something that happened to us in our past, usually in childhood. Maybe we both were abandoned by our father, our parents. Maybe we both were abused in some way, and we have that same fear about love or something like that. Maybe you both have a fear of rejection, a fear of love, a fear of vulnerability, a fear of abandonment, right? There's this shared trauma. Right? And what I always say about trauma is that it really keeps us from being our authentic self. And when we're not our authentic self, we can't be vulnerable. And when we can't be vulnerable, particularly for us women, we can't be in our feminine energy. Right? Because feminine energy, the hallmark of feminine energy is vulnerability. So if we want to embody healthy femininity, which is what I'm trying to teach everyone, is that we need to be in our vulnerable state, and we have to be authentic, right? And so in order to be authentic, our inner girl needs to be healed. So one of the things that I want to prescribe women to just take that idea whenever you feel like, okay, I know I need to let this man go. He's toxic. He's not good for me. This isn't a good relationship for me. But the D is just so good, girl. Like, you don't know how he be like, no cap, like he be blowing me from here to there. Right? So in those instances where the reason you can't let someone go is a carnal thing, such as that, it's not like, oh, there's this love between us. We have so much in common. Like our families love each other. Like we built this life together. We have a business. We have children. Things that actually matter. Like if those are not the reasons why you want to hold on to someone or want to, feel like you can't let them go, but it's basically like, oh, his D is so good. Trauma bond. trauma bond. Okay, that's what it is. I don't prescribe to soul ties. A lot of people do. Not saying they don't exist. It's just not something that I prescribe to, you know. But what I do prescribe to is trauma bonds, right? We have a shared trauma between my inner girl and his inner boy, and we are coming together and through that sex, because sex is a spiritual thing. Our souls are bonding through the trauma, and it feels good because all we know is trauma. And so when we feel someone else who has that same trauma that we have, we mistakenly credit that to feeling good, like it's a good thing when it's really not. This is why chemistry on a first date is not a good thing, because not chemistry like, oh, you know, like, oh, he's attractive, she's attractive, oh, but it's like when you feel like butterflies, when you're like swoon head over heels, like you're start sweating, you nervous, like, oh my God, like this is my person. Like whenever you feel those type of feelings when you first meet someone, it is also a sign of trauma. Whenever your body overreacts to another human being in some way, that is a sign of trauma, right? And your body is mistakenly making you feel like it's a positive thing, right? While you think, okay, the D is good, okay, good sex seems like a good thing, right? Like feeling amazing chemistry for someone seems like a good thing, but it's not. I'm telling you, when you make love to someone, it should feel peaceful, it should feel calm. Afterwards, you should feel more connected to each other. You should feel more in tune with your heart space. You should feel more in love and closer together. You should feel like, I want to be with this person in a long-term situation, right? You should not feel like, okay, I got my rocks off, I'm about to bounce, she gotta bounce, you know, until next time. Okay, you still toxic, you crazy, I still don't want nothing to do with you until you know, the next time I want a mutual masturbation situation going on. Right? And the same thing when you meet somebody on the first date, it should be like, we're focused on compatibility, we focus on the connection, we're focused on, can this first person fit in my long-term goal? Can I, life goals, can I fit in their long-term life goals? So if it's about, oh my God, like he's so fine, she's so fine, like, oh my God, she's making me so nervous, he making me so nervous, like I just feel so many butterflies, I felt this instant connection, I felt this, that, third, like all of that is saying that you're trauma bonding with this person. Your inner girl and that person's inner girl, they have made a connection and said, oh wow, we share, oh my God, we share the same wounds, oh my God, we have the same trauma, yes, 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 maybe, just maybe we can save each other, maybe, just maybe we can heal each other, maybe, just maybe if you validate me, then I will feel worthy. And that person's inner boy is saying, well, maybe if you just validate me, I will feel worthy, right? So that's really what, when you feel those feelings that are good feelings, that's really what you and your inner girl and his inner boy is doing to each other. It's just like, in your spiritual world, it's saying, oh my God, yes, 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 someone else who has my wound, someone else who can save me, right? When really, really no one can save you but yourself, right? You need to work on healing yourself. You need to heal yourself, heal your own inner girl, right? And then you will realize that when you get into connections with people going forward, when you meet someone, you'll feel calm. You probably won't even feel anything. That's a good sign. When you meet someone and you don't feel nothing. You know, you don't feel chaotic. You don't feel butterflies. You don't feel like, oh my God, this is my person. You just feel a sense of calm. Now, this is completely different than like you not liking them completely, or like there's a red flag or something like that. But this is more so of just like feeling peaceful, feeling calm, and not really feeling chaotic about a situation. When you go on a date with someone new and you just feel at peace and you feel calm and you're just like, okay, I can get to know this person. I can kind of take it or leave it, but I'm going to keep an open mind unless they display some red flags to me, or there's something here that is just a non-negotiable for me. I'm going to move forward, but it's not based on like feelings within you, right? Because you don't know this person to really have any feelings towards them. So it shouldn't be about feelings at this point. It should really be about facts, right? It should be about facts. Like factually, we have things in common. Factually, we have compatibility. Factually, you know, there's no red flags here just yet. Factually, I can see myself fitting into his life. Factually, I can see myself him fitting into my life, right? Like, it should be about the facts the first few dates. You know, there shouldn't be really any feelings. When feelings come in, unless that person is invoking a feeling in you, like making you laugh or doing something to make you sad or angry, that's different. But just their personal presence, right, should not really invoke any feelings that you in you in this point, particularly if you have not had sex with them, which you should not do too early, please, so you can have a more objective mind. That's the only reason. Okay, so that's what that is. The good D is that's what that is about. Now, part B of this is ways to let that person go if you feel like you need to let them go, but you feel like I can't because their D is so good, whatever, right? So one of the things that I really pride myself on is I've come on this journey and I really am more focused on spirituality, right? So one of the things is that everything that's happening in the physical world, there's a spiritual component to it. This physical world is not the captain of the sea, right? That's why I say the inner girl. You can't see your inner girl, but she's very real. She is within you. She's within your within your subconsciousness. She is there. She is waiting for you to give her love, attention, and validation, right? So one of the things that I recommend is doing a spiritual bath. Now, a spiritual bath is something that they really practice a lot in biblical days. A lot of people think it's like a magic thing, but it's really not. It's more of something they did a lot in the spiritual days, where it was kind of like getting baptized is actually a spiritual bath, right? So basically it's just taking a bath with intention, or getting inside of, necessarily bathing per se, but just getting in a body of water with intention, which is what baptism is. So basically I like to use certain herbs, and I will give you guys a list of some herbs that will be helpful for you in the link in the description box. But I usually mix those herbs in there. I mix Epsom salt, I mix baking soda, and that's pretty much it. Epsom salt, baking soda, and Himalayan salt, because salt cleanses negative energy. So you want to really clean the negative energy around your aura, your auric field, right? So what you're doing is cleansing this man's energy from you in the spiritual bath. So once you mix everything in the bath, let it sit for about 5 minutes before you get in. And when you get in, set the intention that the purpose of me taking this bath or the purpose of me getting in this water is for me to wash away the spiritual residue that this man has on me, or the connection that this man has on me in the spirit world as well as the physical world. So you're kind of like cutting the connection, I guess, cutting it off, right? So that's the first thing, is a spiritual bath. I will be listing the herbs in the description. The next thing I recommend is cutting contact with this person. So, and that could be deleting them, or if that's not enough, blocking them. And that's blocking their number, blocking them on social media, blocking their email, blocking them on eBay, whatever you need, whatever way that you think they may contact you, blocking them. The next way I would advise you is to really journal about why you can't let this person go. And initially you may say, because the sex is good, but really I ask you to dig deeper. Like, okay, so what is it about the sex that makes me hold on? Or what do I feel during sex that makes me feel so bonded towards him, right? So really journal your experience, and then after sex, how do I feel? Do I feel empty? Do I feel upset with myself for doing this? Do I feel upset with him? Do I really ever see this ever being anything more than sex? Do I really feel like this man gives a crap about me? Does he care about me? Those type of questions. So I want you to really kind of get in a journal or get on a piece of paper and kind of like go within and ask your inner girl those things, like, inner girl, why are you bonded to this man? Like, what is it about him that is making you feel like I can't let him go? And then once you get those answers, you can kind of understand why you're doing those things. And then from there, you can kind of, you know, forgive yourself, forgive him, and just work on every time the drive comes up to reach out to him, or if he reach out to you, which hopefully he doesn't, or you don't because you blocked him in step number 2. You know, but more so if the urge for you to reach out to him, you just breathe that over and say, okay, well, there's nothing real here, and I'm not going to get my needs met. And the next thing I advise you is to maybe go on a date with someone else, go on a couple dates, or if you don't feel ready to date, kind of indulge yourself in some other activities that you have. Maybe take up exercising, take up baking, just things to kind of get your mind off it, because eventually where your attention goes, where your where your intention goes, that's where you go, basically. So that's why the Bible talks about a man who has committed adultery with a woman in his heart has already in his or looks I'm sorry the Bible says a man who looks upon a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now the Bible is not saying that looking. Now a lot of people interpret this wrong, and I talk about this on my podcast, that I don't prescribe to the Bible as a religious text. What I prescribe to it is a book of allegory, and a book and a guidebook and a way to live life, not necessarily in the context of religion, but just life in general, and a guidebook and allegories that teach you something, because Jesus taught in allegories to teach you, because the subconscious learns in picture images, and via allegory you are picturing something, and therefore your subconscious is activated. So he said that statement. A lot of people think, okay, so I should not look upon lust with someone. That's the thing. But people, that is a mistake that I believe with the Bible, is that the Bible is taken too literally, right? It's not literally saying like, okay, this man looking on this woman, lusting towards her is the wrong and is the sin in of itself, right? But what he's saying is that when you look upon a woman with lust, which lust is an emotional charge, when you put emotional energy behind something, you're giving it your energy, your attention, and eventually your body, your mind is going to go to that place, right? So that's what he's saying, is that you're naturally going to be carried away there. He's not saying that the sin is in the looking or the lusting necessarily, but it's saying that holding your attention in that space, your subconscious is going to register that, and it's going to guide you to that situation. So what I'm saying is that it's very important that you divert your attention to other things in your life, friends, family, hobbies, work, so that your attention, your subconscious will lead you to those other things. Because if you sit up here and think about him, think about things that have to do with him, then eventually you're going to unblock him and you're going to hit him up. Or if he come to your house, you're going to answer. Or if he call you from another number and be toxic, you're going to answer that toxicity with your own toxicity. So that's why I'm saying do not look upon him with lust, because you will have committed adultery in your heart. Because you emotionally investing yourself, emotionally thinking about him, is going to cause you to take an action, or cause you to accept an action from him that's going to get you back in square one. So I hope that makes sense. So that's the end of this video. If you guys have any questions, concerns, if this don't make any sense, if you need some elaboration, then feel free to drop it in the comments, and I will definitely answer them as soon as I see them. So please bear with me if I don't see them right away, but I will definitely answer them if I can and if I see them. So that's it, ladies. Have a great rest of your day. And until next time, have a good evening, ladies. Bye-bye.